Alrighty, folks. Last night I went to go see Deadpool, 7 o'clock, and this is my little review of the movie. If you don't want anything spoiled, my advice to you is to leave now because I'm going to talk about everything that I saw with the movie, including who was in it, and there were some prize cameos by certain heroes and villains, and I didn't expect to find them in this film. But right now I'm giving you the chance to leave, so leave. Alrighty, here we go. So the film, if you guys are unaware of what Deadpool's all about, is a bunch of comedy and the hero, anti-hero Deadpool breaks the fourth wall a lot and talks to the audience. Now, it's supposed to be humorous. This film had a lot of humor, but in comparison to the first one, this film's humor was much more. It's like comparing Family Guy to The Simpsons. The humor in the first film was a little bit more sophisticated, and the humor in this one was a lot more just like doggish and sometimes over the top to the point where the audience just didn't connect with it. There were quite a few times when there was a joke that kept going and going and going, and they were getting less and less laughs each time. They are also kind of lazy with the writing, and it was an ongoing joke because Deadpool kept saying throughout the film, "Ah, lazy writers," and it made me feel as if this film was intentionally written poorly just to create jokes at certain points because there are some things that didn't make sense. The villain of the film, there really wasn't one. You can sort of say it was Juggernaut, but Juggernaut really wasn't the villain. I mean, Juggernaut's presence in the film didn't really make much sense other than to, as Deadpool said, create a giant CGI fight at the end. Uh, and honestly, I mean, it is what it is. Did I care for the fight? Not really, because Juggernaut versus the heroes he was fighting, there would be no comparison. There's no fighting Juggernaut, or at least for those people. Um, Deadpool can be a real badass, but he can't really do anything against the Juggernaut. So um, it's one of those things where you can agree to disagree. You can say, hey, this is the kind of movie you went to go see, and all that jazz. Um, as far as the cameos, you see like the X Force, they all die. Like there's this huge build up about who they are and what they can do, and the first scene where they actually have to do something, they all get killed in some of the dumbest ways possible. It's meant to be funny. For me, it was kind of annoying because it's like, oh yeah, we get this build up, we get to see some new characters, you hear about their powers, and nothing. A bunch of nothing. The only one who actually does live is the Domino Girl. You see, who's like luck-based powers, and I'm glad she lived. She was actually my favorite character in the film. Her wit, she was very witty. She could fight extremely well, and then her luck-based powers were so fucking awesome. Like when I say awesome, I think like she's the best character in the movie, um, other than Deadpool. Uh, he was Deadpool himself was not as relatable. He was not as funny in this film, and probably part of that reason is because he was trying to be something he wasn't for the great majority of it, and it just didn't work for me. Also, I was in a theater that was ruined, like all of it was ruined because there was a hyena in there. And you guys have, if you've ever been to a comedy film, you know what a hyena is. Where everyone chuckles at a joke, this guy would cackle extremely loud and for a very long time to the point where you couldn't hear the exposition, you couldn't hear the dialogue in the film. And I was really annoyed. Like everyone was like, ugh, because he kept cackling and laughing at the smallest jokes. Maybe he went to the movie high. I don't know. I didn't know the person. But like when people would chuckle, like, yeah, that was funny, he would straight up cackle like a fucking hyena. And it got to the point where I was like, please don't say any more jokes until we understand what's going on. Because there are parts literally in the film where I couldn't hear what was going on because this jackass kept cackling. So I'm probably going to have to go see it again, which I wouldn't mind. I will say that the action sequences in this film were a lot better, in my opinion, than the ones from the first film. Um, the way the Deadpool is sort of set up, you have the story being established first, and then it's a likely a flashback or a backstory that he goes into before the film actually starts. This is the same way. This movie is the same. Um, there are a lot of jokes that you'll miss if you aren't careful, if you don't read. So when the film starts and it starts introducing people, like in the first film, if you forgot about that, there are jokes written in, like saying, "Oh, production is by some guy who you really don't give a fuck about." That's a joke they have in the film, or yada yada yada. You have to pay attention. Something this movie also had that I didn't really care for, a lot of cult following jokes. So if you aren't aware of certain, I guess, pop culture events or pop culture just knowledge in general, a lot of these jokes will go right over your head, because there are sometimes when I was like, what does that even mean? Someone next to me had to explain it to me because it was a cult following pop culture type joke, and I was not aware of that. They do spoil a lot in this film when it comes to the other MCU films. So if you haven't seen Logan and Infinity War and some other films, you may not want to see this first. You may want to see those first, because when I say they're huge spoilers, I mean they open up the film with a huge spoiler about Logan, and they talk about Infinity War, and then they say something about the DC universe. But you see part of that in the trailer, but they go in depth with it, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's also true. I'm not gonna say much about the DC universe right now, but there are some things that Deadpool mentioned that was like on point. It was on the nose. Overall, I give the rating for this film a probably a B minus, B, um, simply because I knew what I was getting when I saw the film, the first one, and then I saw the trailer. I knew what I was getting, and I got what I wanted out of the film. Um, my expectations for this film, because I'm not a huge comedy person, were never up there. There also was no 10-year build up to this film. So I appreciate Deadpool 2 for what it was. And as I said, the action sequences in this film were a lot better. The story itself, um, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as concrete as the first film. The story was kind of disjointed. You got this kid who is being tortured at a rehabilitation school for mutant children, and he decides that he's going to end up killing the headmaster, because the headmaster was part of the torture program for the school. And all of that, is good. But then he goes and he recruits the Juggernaut, and then he refuses to listen to Deadpool because he heard Deadpool tell somebody he didn't really care for him, and it just becomes very diluted and gets sort of disjointed. If they had simplified the story, in my opinion, that would have made the movie a lot better. Juggernaut joining forces with the kid, if you actually look at the film and think about it, makes no sense, because Juggernaut does not play well with others. He never has, and I don't think he ever will. Um, I don't know. Oh, the cutscenes. I have to talk about that, because if you go to see this film, don't stay after you see the credits start rolling up where it says cast or whatever. There's nothing there. At the very end, there's like a song, and it's really fucking stupid. It's like Seth MacFarlane, Ted 2 stupid. And if you don't know what that means, it's a waste of your time, essentially. So don't stay and be like stuck in the theater, because my theater was really, really fucking hot. Don't stay in the theater and wait for the credits to come up and see if there's a cutscene, because there isn't one. Everything you will see, I'm not going to spoil the cutscenes, happens like literally right after the first like credit scene, where you see Deadpool, like the logo and all that stuff, and then you see like cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, because there are like quite a few of them that are really quick, because he does something with time travel, which really isn't a spoiler considering the villain, Josh Brolin, who played Thanos in Infinity War, he time travels back from the future. So time travel is a thing in this film, and that's another spoiler. Deadpool at the beginning says he is going to die. Technically, he does die, but time travel. So he doesn't stay dead. Whoops. Uh, Other than that, I will say pretty good movie overall. Could have been better. It could have been a lot worse though too. So go check it out. It's worth at least one or two viewings in theaters. If you're one of those people that doesn't like being surrounded by hyenas, may I suggest like a matinee where a lot of older people who wouldn't go see the movie, that's the time that they would go see it then. Or you can always wait for it to come out on DVD, which is what I'm going to do. Because as much as would love the movie theater experience, I'm going to see this movie when it comes out on DVD because I don't laugh out loud like a bunch of those crazy people at the theater do. Anyway, if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. If you have any sort of comments about the film, let me know what I missed, what I'm incorrect on, because I really enjoy discussing things with people. Just be respectful about it and don't get banned by YouTube by saying something really fucking stupid.